RaiderNation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz, your host of the Raiders Report, and coming up here on today's show, we're going to be going through the 2024 NFL Draft for the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm going to go through every single pick, give you a grade on each one, and then at the very end, I'm going to tell you how AP and Telesco did in their first year. I got to say this, though. I'm going to give my flowers to AP. I'm going to give my flowers to Telesco. They did a hell of a job, and I want everybody right now to click that like button because this is the best draft I have seen a Raiders team do since I have been covering this team. Way better than anything Ziegler and frickin' McDaniels did. Way better than anything Gruden and Mayock did. This organization is moving in the right direction. Mark Davis, you did a hell of a job, and it looks like right now we are going in that right direction. If you're looking for videos around the silver and black every single day, then guess what? We're going to be the channel for you. Even though that the offseason's about to hit, I will still put out a video every single day on this channel. We will still be live at least 3 times a week for the entirety of the offseason. We got you covered around all things going on around the silver and black. So let's go through here my Raiders draft grades. Starting in round 1 at pick 13, this is where I want to mention. A, it is a excellent pick. B, it's a good pick. C, average. D, bad. F, failure. For the first time ever, I don't have a single grade under a bad grade. That's a remarkable thing. For Brock Bowers, I'm going to give this a B grade. I think it's a really good pick. And the more and more I'm watching tape on Bowers, the higher and higher my grade continues to go up. If you wanted the silver and black to go out there and select somebody, best player available, they did it. I know that some people wanted the corner. I know some people wanted an offensive tackle. Some people were hoping that the Raiders could have traded up for a QB. None of that happened. They decided to find a player like Hunter Renfrow on roids, essentially, the upgrade button. Hunter Renfrow, he's Charmander. Brock Bowers, Charizard. Really, really good fit. Think of him as a slot wide receiver tight end weapon. For me, it's a B grade. The question I have, though, is because the nation's been burned time and time and time again with first-round picks being a bust. So my question to you is this. It's going to be the pinned comment on today's show. You're about to get hit with the YouTube ad break. I want you to scroll on down. Give me your answer. Yes, no. Will Brock Bowers be a bust? I don't know if I've ever been more confident that a player that the Raiders have drafted in round 1 is not going to be a bust. I said Cleveland Furrow, going to be a bust. I said Jacobs, I don't know if I take a running back in round 1. Said Abram, bust. Ruggs, bust. Alex Leatherwood, bust. Damon Arnett, bust. Tyree Wilson, only time will tell. Brock Bowers will not be a bust. Hell of a football player, was the best player on a Georgia team that was dominating college football for 3 seasons. Let's go to the next player here in round 2, pick 44. Telesco, and this was my favorite pick of the draft for the Raiders. Jackson Powers-Johnson, a player that we had in the top 21 grade on. It's an A+. This is a slam dunk. You're going to be able to insert him right away as a starting offensive guard, whether that be left guard, whether that be right guard. He's got that wrestling background. He's got the mentality that you love to see in a guy who just can't wait to go out there and just beat the effing shit out of you. If you want to win in the trenches, here's your guy to be able to go out there and do it. Big boy, and I think his best fit personally is at left guard to be able to protect that blind side of a Gardner Minshew, protect that blind side maybe even of an Aiden O'Connell. Listening to him, watching the video of him break down in tears, very emotional, grew up a Raider fan, went to the Oakland Coliseum with his dad. Jackson Powers-Johnson, I said it once and I said it again. I want to get you on the Raiders Report. And if you want to come to my wedding, it's in June 2025. Pull up with Chugs and I. You can bring a +1 on top of that. Some of you are like, Mitch, quit glazing Jackson Powers-Johnson and talk about Delmar here a little bit. I'm going to give this one a C grade. And no disrespect to Delmar Glaze. I've started watching a little bit of tape on him. He got picked because of that versatility, and I think what you're going to see the Raiders do is you're going to put him next to Thayer Munford, another player that they have some ability and confidence in, that he can play offensive tackle, offensive guard. Delmar Glaze and Thayer Munford, to me, are going to compete for that starting right tackle spot. Loser ends up being backup swing tackle, potential extra guy at offensive guard. It's a C grade because this was the only reach for the Raiders. I thought that Glaze was going to go in round 5, round 6, potentially even round 7. But the way that the NFL draft fell, a lot of tackles went off the board really, really quickly. And the analogy that I kept making was there was a time during COVID where I spent $5 for Royal toilet paper. Why? Because it was a need. The Raiders felt that they had a need at offensive line, offensive tackle, and due to the price and all the other players going, they didn't want to make a deal. Clearly, they didn't want to make a trade to move up, move down. Delmar Glaze ended up being the pick there at 77. One of the top battles that I'm going to be watching for this offseason, Thayer Munford against Delmar Glaze. Who do you think ends up winning that battle? Type TM for Thayer Munford, type DG for Delmar Glaze. The person that I believe is the better player right off the jump is Munford. I'll say that through and through. I had a high grade on Munford, so Munford and Glaze, the grades are very similar. However, the fact that our regime drafted him in round 3, I do think helps him out a lot more. That doesn't mean, though, that he's going to get playing time. The Raiders drafted Byron Young last year, round 3, pick 74, and, well, shit, he might not even make this freaking roster. If you don't know where to follow me on social media, I'm at Mitchell Renz 365 on Instagram and over on Twitter. We're going to be pumping out a lot of content. If you want my instant reactions to things, guess what? We got all of that stuff covered over there. And, like, Chugs and I, we do a lot of shenanigans in the offseason, right? We were playing Chugger Nights. Thank you to everyone that took time out of their day to watch us play Chugger Nights. I had a lot of fun doing it. Shout out to Chugger Nights if you want to give them a follow on social media as well for sending that game in and letting us have a little bit of fun. Really cool stuff there. Also, I'm going to be doing my best to keep you guys up to date on all of the UDF grades that end up coming in. So I'm going to be tweeting it out. I'm going to be posting it on social media. We're also going to be making a video tomorrow around some of the UDFA grades that the Raiders have. According to my calculations, they are allowed to sign 19 players for UDFAs. Let's go to round 4, pick 112. Decamerion Richardson, cornerback from Mississippi State. And I'm going to give this one a B-plus grade. I've switched up some of my grades since the initial pick that the Raiders had because I think it's a fair thing to do now that you can see total value and where the board fell with certain players that you like and don't like. If you haven't watched tape on Decamerion, and I'm not even going to act like I did this offseason, watch the tape. It's a hell of a fit. 6'2", 190-pound, long limb press man corner, is not afraid to tackle whatsoever. And if you're confident in your coaching staff can get the most out of a kid, I think this is a fun pick here, considering the fact that I know the Raiders are looking for certain things when it comes to corners. They saw Jack Jones. They probably like the fit from top to bottom. You put him next to Nate Hobbs. I think Jacorian Bennett, Brandon Faison are going to have a fun battle ahead going up against a guy like Richardson, and then we'll get to the other corner that the Raiders drafted because I'm fired up about that one. Let's go here to round 5, pick 148, Tommy Eichenberg. I'm going to give this an A- grade. Again, good value to me. You got a linebacker that absolutely loves football, and one thing that I felt like just kept saying over and over again during our live draft coverage was the Raiders continue to find players that all coaches say, some of the draft notes are, this guy loves football. Not great coverage, but he's going to be really solid against the run. And I look at what the Raiders did with Robert Spillane. You found a player very close to the mold of a Robert Spillane. Maybe you can recreate that. Yet again, that's an A- grade. Before I go into the final 3 picks here for the Las Vegas Raiders, what is your favorite pick that the silver and black made? I'm not saying the best pick because the best player was Brock Bowers. My favorite pick was Jackson Powers Johnson, though I really like the final 3 picks also that the silver and black did. You found value, players that can play special teams, players that can also play their position, and at this name of the game, at this late in the draft, it's easy to do well in the first few rounds. Teams win Super Bowls based on what they do in day 3, and the Las Vegas Raiders crushed day 3. Let's go to round 6, 208. Dylan Laube, the running back from New Hampshire. There was a lot of people here at Chat Sports really fired up that the silver and black ended up getting him. He's a pass-catching running back. He had over 700 receiving yards this past year at New Hampshire. Sanjeet thinks that he reminds him a little bit of a guy like Austin Eckler, who Tom Telesco really liked. Fun athlete, 5'10", about 205 pounds. You already have your 2 smash running backs in Zamir White, Alexander Madison. Now you add Laube into that. Then you also can add him to special teams. Sneaky good pick right here for Las Vegas. Let's go to round 7, 223. Trey Taylor, the safety out of Air Force. I took Taylor in a lot of my mock drafts, so people that have watched the show before probably have heard me talk about him. He won the Defensive Back of the Year award this past season at college football. It's the first time ever that an Air Force player has won that. He's a big-time leader at Air Force. Call me a sucker for that. Definitely going to be a good fit for the Raiders. Probably going to be a little bit more of a special teams player from top to bottom. What was that? And he is related to NFL Hall of Fame safety, maybe the greatest safety outside of Charles Woodson, Ed Reed. So Taylor has some of those connections, again, which we said before, the Raiders are looking for players that have some of those past connections there. That's an A grade. And then we're going to round it out with MJ Devonshire. Another A grade here, a corner from Pittsburgh, a dude that we had a round 6 grade on. A little bit smaller, like 5'10", 185 pounds, but has those long arms like Jacorian Bennett. To me, this is the player that if I'm Jacorian Bennett, I got to beat out. I got to take care of business against Devonshire. And another dude that's very, very athletic, has a good act for getting to the ball, also offers you some special teams ability, had a punt return touchdown this past season. So it offers you, again, more than just being a corner, also offers you that ability to be a special teams player. This might be the sneaky, sneaky player we talking about in a few years that said, you know what, Antonio Pierce, Patrick Graham, Ricky Manning, Gerald Everett, Raider safety coach Gerald Alexander worked their magic, and Devonshire ended up being a steal like a dude like Nate Hobbs. So here we go. You made it this far. What a hell of an NFL draft we had here at the Raiders Report. I loved a lot of these picks. I think they did a phenomenal job, and when I give out grades, I don't just give out grades as a BSer. I'm a tough grader. It's been one of the things that people kind of get mad at me for, but life's not cupcakes, butterflies, and rainbows. And if you don't give out legit grades, people don't know when you're serious. For me to give an A+ to Jackson Powers Johnson as a viewer, you know, holy shit, Mitch really likes that pick. And there's got to be some discrepancies. So A, B, C, D, or F, let me know down below how Antonio Pierce and Tom Telesco did. The grade that I'm going to end up going here with is an A- grade overall. If I were to give out a test, probably be a 93 overall. You circle that bad boy. That's a hell of a day at the office as far as I'm concerned. Raiders, one of the clear winners here from the draft, and I know you didn't get a quarterback. It's going to be Aiden O'Connell. It's going to be Gardner Minshew. I'm still hoping that the Silver and Black maybe can sign a player like Xavier Howard, add a little bit more ability and reliability to that backfield. But again, man, oh man, oh man. Telesco AP, hell of a job. I'll see you guys tomorrow with some UDFA grades here on the Raiders Report.